My first memory of going to Kilbott's graveyard was with my father. I was about 7, I'd say. And he brought me the bar of the bicycle, cushion on it. And that was by his dad and his mum were buried there, my grandparents. But in bygone days, you couldn't get in there with briars, nettles and thistles and high grass. And a very kind neighbour, James Dervin, used to cut a path for me to get in there to the graves. So gradually I succeeded in asking a fella that was working for FOSS if I could get a grant that would get the grass cut in Kilbott's graveyard. And he told me if I went to a county councillor that they would help me. So I went to James McClernand, but I had to ask James Dervin first if he would cut the grass, and then we got the grant. And then after getting that grant, we had no car park. It was only just a little spot that the hearse could stay. So James Dervin gave a bit of land and we got a lovely car park. We collected the 8,500 to get the car park done.
My name is Mona Monaghan and I'm a niece of Katie Duan. In latter years, I suppose Katie handed over the mantle to me. She had a real grow off of Kilboght and maintaining it. So I took over in recent years, pre-COVID, I suppose after really my brother and my mum passed in 2013 and 17. I suppose I've been very grateful for all the grants we have got down through the years. And I'm very proud today just to know that for the future it's not going to fall into a state of disrepair. I'm very grateful to the County Council for the grant and to Peggy, my sister-in-law, who really initiated it.
And Kilboght was a very much loved place by the family that I married into, the Monaghans. A lot of the Monaghans were buried there, and I became aware very early on that Katie Duan had a great love for the place, and she had done a lot of work to try to get funding in the past to do remedial works in Kilboght. So with Katie's encouragement, I kind of followed on from that. And when the Community Monuments Fund became available, I worked with Bernie Doherty and a few other people to apply for funding. And we were very lucky to get funding for a conservation management plan first. And that enabled us to do the remedial works then last year.
My name is Bernie Doherty. I'm the community archaeologist for County Galway. My job is to help communities get funding through different streams, and the Community Monuments Fund is administered through Galway County Council on behalf of the National Monument Service. This funding is there to enable communities to make their local sites and monuments accessible. Our local communities and landowners are the main custodians of our archaeological sites and monuments.
During COVID, I did a course at the University of Limerick on local history, and during that I met Christy Caniff, who had been the archaeologist for County Galway. So I did a project on Kilboght then, and I did work on the mausoleum and learned a bit about the families that are buried there, the Blakes and the Hardys. And I remember Christy saying to me how important Kilboght was to him. And he said, Kilboght is yours now.
My name is Fergal McNamara. I'm a conservation architect with 7L Architects. The first time I visited here was about 3 years ago, on a beautiful December morning. And at that stage, we were just looking at the mausoleum. But we could see that there was a richer site here. And we were tasked with preparing a conservation management plan for the site, which looks at all the different stages of the site's development. This site is very near Kilreekle in East County Galway. It's a very, very rich parts of the country for ecclesiastical ruins. There's very famous ones like Clonfert and Abbey-Knockmoy. And this is a kind of lesser known site, but it's also very, very rich. And sometimes these sites are very, very interesting for the community, but generally because they're relatively untouched. The site has kind of that connection to St. Richella, who's by tradition is a sister of St. Patrick. So it goes right back. And it's known as a nunnery. On the maps, and the old maps, it's always referred to as a nunnery. But we're not sure if that relates to the connection with St. Richella. And then we also carried out recording of the site using drones, laser scanning technology, so that we got a clear idea of what's above ground, but also what's below ground without having to dig, just to give a sense of the overall significance of the site.
I was lucky enough to work on this project here in Kilboght Cemetery. We started here a little over a year ago. The building was covered in ivy. So the challenge was, I suppose, carefully taking off the ivy, consolidating the wall tops, consolidating the walls, and bringing the mausoleum back to its former glory. And we were quite lucky, all the pieces were there. And I think it came together quite well, but it wouldn't have been successful without the team.
There are a few distinct architectural features here at Kilboght. One is the piscina, which would have been located close to the altar. That would have been the place where the priests would have washed their hands and the chalices. The second is the water font that's integrated into the doorway, which is part of the extension to the chapel. We have a number of architectural fragments which were part of the early building here at Kilboght. They were reused as grave markers throughout the graveyard.
I suppose in this project here, the challenge was the mausoleum, because the stones that needed to get rebedded were quite heavy and they'd been in the ground for a long time. We carefully palletized the stones that were on the ground, measured everything, and then started from the base stones right into the vault, put everything back exactly the way it should have been. And I think it turned out reasonably well. And hopefully we'll see more of these projects getting restored around the country, because bringing them back to life preserves them for the future.
I am very proud of Kilbocht, of where it is today. I'm very fortunate and we're very privileged that my family are buried there, my DNA is there.
And I'm so happy to have it restored to what it is today, and to know that it'll be always well kept and they will be remembered in years to come.
It means so much to have it done, not only for the people that are buried there, and I think it's so important from a tangible heritage point of view that the story is vibrant. You know, people can go there and they can see how it was built, the architecture, how the monks would have lived and set it up, and it just shows that we care for these sites, we preserve them and bring them into the future, and hopefully future generations will do the same.